Released to the wrong kind of fanfare back in November 2017, EA DICE's sequel to their rebooted Mass Arena Warfare series, set in the Disney-owned space opera universe, courted controversy to near comical degree, before a blaster had even been fired. Overloaded by microtransactions and predatory loot box practices, Star Wars Battlefront II had a bad start. The biggest offense to early players on EA Access was that the franchise's signature heroes, Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader and Maul, Obi-Wan, Boba Fett, and so on, were hidden behind paywalls, or, as was becoming increasingly commonplace at the time, only obtainable after unfathomably long hours spent accumulating whatever skill points or in-game currency was required to unlock them.
Less evil team takes the lead.
Worse still was this overabundance of loot boxes wasn't present in the open beta, conducted a few weeks earlier in October, so their emergence, as bad as it was on their own, resonated much worse because it felt deceitful. The comedy element in this pre-release debacle emerged during EA's robust defense of their choices on a Reddit post, a post which became the most downvoted the website had ever seen, and netted the not-yet-released title its first accolade, an unwanted Guinness World Record for having, you probably guessed it, the most downvoted post in history. The heads in EA's boardroom didn't take too kindly to this, but instead of doubling down, they opted to listen to player concerns and perform a partial U-turn. First, by dramatically reducing the cost of the franchise's heroes, then, the day before the game's official release, by disabling microtransactions. We describe this as a partial U-turn, as these microtransactions were re-enabled several months after release, but the only items for purchase were cosmetics, emotes, victory poses, that sort of thing. Certainly not the pay-to-win practices EA had originally planned. Arguably, these changes weren't solely the result of player discontent. The loot boxes in particular harbored the very serious implication that they presented a form of gambling. So strong was the furor surrounding their inclusion that governments throughout Europe and North America began to investigate not just their presence in Star Wars Battlefront II, but in video games as a whole. After all, children play games, and given Star Wars fanbase, there was undoubtedly a substantial player base awaiting Battlefront 2's release that were under 18. The comedic element in EA's initial response is an undertone, if anything. The loot box controversy clouding Star Wars Battlefront 2 grew into a seismic event for the industry. Paying for loot boxes, which may or may not contain the items you want, was officially declared as gambling, and it simply couldn't continue to exist. The industry isn't cleansed of the practice altogether, of course, but the direction it was heading in 2017 was certainly for the worse. In a way, it's great that this issue reared its head so prevalently when it did, and arguably it's because this was a Star Wars game that the uproar was so strong. After all, this is a beloved franchise with a then 40-year legacy. Its fans are passionate, and they'll voice their discontent more rapidly than players of EA's annual sports titles. Despite EA making wholesale changes to Star Wars Battlefront 2's pay-to-win progression, its release was still cloaked in negativity. However, there was a decent game underneath all the furor, and it was only improved upon by EA DICE in the subsequent years following post-release content, which steadily emerged until support was abandoned in 2020. Changes to progression, which came in March 2018, transformed the game into one that's playable today. To answer the question heading into this feature, Star Wars Battlefront II is fixed, and it was the change to linear progression which did it. Now troopers earn in-game skill points via playing, not by paying. Completing objectives, blasting opponents, traditional leveling up, that sort of thing. Enhancing the capability of the game's characters are star cards, and these became unlockable through experience once they were removed from loot boxes. They govern progression for each of the game's classes, heroes, AI reinforcements, and vehicles, with skill points being capable of upgrading a star card to its next tier, or being put towards crafting new ones. This mechanic returned from Battlefront II's predecessor, of course, but they were adjusted slightly to incorporate abilities and boosts, and they are crucial to gaining an edge during large-scale battles. Boost cards enhance your unit's pre-existing abilities, whereas ability cards unique to each trooper class can be swapped in and out. The latter is a rewarding endeavor for anyone who wishes to pursue a specific class of trooper, stealthier specialists, more destructive heavies, tougher assault troopers, etc. If Star Wars Battlefront II is indeed fixed, then an extra question we land upon now is this: is Star Wars Battlefront II still worth playing some 8 years after release and approaching 5 years since any form of update? Well, if you're playing on PC, annoyingly the answer might be no, as currently hackers have unfortunately spoiled the experience with game-ruining cheats and reports of harassment towards honest players. It's a shame, honestly, as on console, Star Wars Battlefront 2 is still a wonderfully cinematic, chaotic multiplayer experience. Make no mistake, concurrent players are nowhere near the level they've been in the past, but in 2025, playing Star Wars Battlefront 2 online is alive and well. Matchmaking can take a few minutes, more so if you opt to select your chosen multiplayer mode instead of just choosing quick match, but performance on PlayStation at least is smooth and responsive, which is great. Graphically too, for a game that's 8 years old, Star Wars Battlefront 2 still looks sublime, presenting a foray of scenery. It'd be nice to see the game remastered for current-gen hardware, but given EA DICE's decision to stop supporting the title and just move on to other things, and to sadly drop production of a third Battlefront title, the past version will have to do. Still looks and plays great, the latter of which is the most important. Multiplayer is still the way to go, though, as it always was. The game's single-player campaign following Eden Versio as she commands the elite Imperial Spectral Forces unit Inferno Squad pledges an inversive perspective on the Empire, but it never truly achieves it during the run-of-the-mill missions. There are hints that Versio is empathetic, a perspective we've never really seen in any Star Wars game, but the interest here is never really truly explored. No, EA DICE clearly concentrated much of their effort into online play, its numerous modes of which all have something good to offer, and the game's offline arcade modes too. Worth pointing out as well is that the game's cast of heroes are still overpowered. Once you earn enough battle points to take to the field as a lightsaber-wielding Jedi or Sith, it's ultra-satisfying scything through troopers. For anyone else caught in a lightsaber's proximity, however, it can be devastating to say the least. Still, those panicky moments you round a corner and spot Darth Vader stomping towards you are quite amusing all the same. The best moments during Star Wars Battlefront 2 as well are when heroes face off against each other. Seeing Luke and Maul going at it through a shower of blaster fire and thermal detonator explosions is ultimately fan fiction material. There's perhaps no other Star Wars game that can replicate those unique and fun moments.
They've stopped the shipment.
So, what are your thoughts on this? Go ahead and share them in the comments below. And if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and enable all notifications by clicking the bell icon to get new video updates. We upload every day and would really appreciate your support. Thanks for watching.